in place, I can assure you have no impact whatsoever on negotiations that are taking place or business between us in the future. There's no question, for example, about the supply drying up in 6 months or so on. These are, I don't know all the details. I'm more interested in what happens with the glass business and making sure that the supply agreement we've had for the past 5 years carries on into the future, and that's my immediate interest. Let's talk about the...
Does that, are you happy
I'm
or
still,
not?
well, I'm still not really sure about the... I mean, you are talking about looking to continue the relationship in the long term, but I'm not really quite sure how you can... I mean, you've cut your capacity by half as far as we know. So again, I just want to know what's coming up in the longer term that's going to compensate for that.
Are you looking for a long-term relationship?
Well, we have had a long-term relationship.
We've had a number of one-year deals. I mean, there are two types of, to me, of long-term relationship. There's one that says we have a number of one-year deals, right, and we happen to have done it for 5 years. I mean, are you actually saying that you're looking for a much longer-term relationship as written down?
I think to pick up on your point, Jerry, we would have been happier, or even happy, to talk about contracts for protracted service, longer than a year. But last year was an exceptional year for both the company, in the sense of us having, for the first time in its 5-year delivery history, problems with both quality and with delivery service. And also the second thing, of course, is that, not trying to cast aspersions on your own company that you come from, but a takeover by a player that we know nothing about, and yet we've already seen a marked demise as far as productive capacity goes in our major supplier. We would obviously want to continue a long-term approach, but maybe this is not the year when that is on the agenda.
Do you see your capacity requirements increasing from 1 million kilograms a year over the short-term future?
Well, if you think about it, when we started off together in the first time about 5 years ago, Phil, we were buying 600-700 tons, and now we're up to the million. So our productive capacity is obviously going out, and our sales are doing quite well, and that's the kind of volume increase that we'd be looking for. But I think to talk about contracts more than for 1 year at this stage are a bit premature. I think you have to realise our viewpoint that that 5 years is almost non-existent now, that you're a new company almost.
Let me see if I understand what you're saying, which is that my understanding of the point you're making is that you want to ensure that we can supply you with 1 million kilograms over the 12 months, but you also have a more general concern, which is that you see your requirements possibly increasing above that level into the future, and you want some assurance from us that we can meet your increased requirements over the long term.
We also have a specific concern, which is that quality last year was unacceptable for a period and led to us having to shut down for a week.
Right.
And we need to know that that is not going to happen again, because we can't afford to absorb, we can't project and afford to project in our sales and our prices that sort of lapse of quality.
On that quality point, as I say, I've got a capital investment requisition that ready for implementation. To level with you, the implementation of that to some extent depends, frankly, on the outcome of these negotiations. And I, as a manager of international mining, have to look at what is a very substantive capital investment in the context of the long-term future of Rockely.
I'm always interested.
That's why I'm interested, if you like, in longer-term relationships. Now, I believe, and I will ask you the question, would you be satisfied that this technology improvement is going to overcome the quality problems? Because if it is, and then furthermore we come to an overall agreement which is going to involve the implementation of this piece of technology, then in return, I think as part of international mining, we would be looking for something rather stronger than we have had in the past, than just a sort of a 1 year contract.
Excuse me for interrupting, but you seem to be implying that in fact you cannot actually at the present give us an assurance that the quality problems have been overcome. What you're actually saying is that unless we're prepared to accept the deal that is currently on the table, you can't give us an assurance of quality, because implementing the quality improvements depends on the deal. So that's asking rather a lot of us.
I know a little bit about the programme that Jerry has in mind, and quality will be the highest quality that you've ever seen, to the extent that I think that we can possibly even guarantee to you that problems with the machinery which occurred last year, much to everyone's dismay, will not arise again. And give you specific assurances on that.
And if this requisition is passed, when will the new programme be implemented? How will that affect the next order?
You know, we're somewhere away at the moment from the actual renewal date. I mean, as soon as if we get agreement on that, you know, then I would feel comfortable to go ahead. I mean, I'm being open with you.
It would be effective.
It would be effective as of the date of the new contract. Okay. Absolute assurance of that. I mean, again, I think if we're talking about sort of specific options, I mean, we are very, very confident indeed, given this investment, of our ability to maintain quality. And there may well be some mechanism that we could explore within the contract for underwriting that in some way.
Okay.
Exactly.
So we could put in penalty clauses for loss of productive capacity from our own viewpoint due to defective supply.
I think my feeling is, in principle, that's something that we can explore. Yeah,
we need to.
You know, we've got to take it as a package overall. Yeah, but that's something. Putting it bluntly, if you're prepared to commit to us, and the stronger that commitment is, the stronger we can commit towards yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you know, coming in as an outsider, I see this sort of repetitious one-year contracts where people really don't necessarily get to the root of the concerns. You've perhaps always had a concern about quality. Yeah. It's just the quality's been fine. It's only getting addressed here now this year because there's been a problem. Yeah. That's why I think we want to get all your concerns out on the table and to understand them. If we do that, we can address them, and we can make sure the contract meets up with those. Yeah.
So I think that we can meet all your requirements on quality. Are you happy that what we've just said would do that?
Well, I think what we've said is acceptable so
Yes.
far.
I mean, the quality you produced before, if you take last year as the exception for that one batch, the quality is a quality that we desire. Obviously, you know, we produce high quality products, glass products from the pebble glass that you give us. And so there is a minimum quality below which we can't fall.
Sure.
I understand.
And as long as you can meet the quality requirements in your QC, which you've had prior to last year, were met our requirements.
Okay.
If you can maintain those levels, then the QC and quality problem becomes no problem, put it that way.
Could we perhaps move on to some of the other issues then? Capacity. Obviously, if you see your capacity increasing over the short term, and it means that we can strengthen our relationship even further, we're interested in being a part of that. Can you be specific about your increased capacity requirements over the year?
We're talking generally at the moment, just by looking at trends that have gone over the past 3, 4, 5 years. We've just seen an increase of, say, 10% compound annually.
Okay.
And that's the kind of figure that we'd need to build in. What we don't want, obviously, is to see that maybe in the next 2 or 3 years, where our capacity expands again to, say, 1,200 in 2 years' time, that you say, sorry, we can't provide you with the extra 200, our ceiling is 1,000
Okay.
kilograms.
Do you see, Phil, in there a kind of a quid pro quo? I mean, yeah, if we shut capacity, that's because we say, well, look, have we got an order for tomorrow to fill that plant?
Sure.
Yeah, or the day after. I mean, the stronger you can say to us, we believe this is the sort of number we're going to want at some point in the future,
Yeah.
the more even and stable can be our own investment decisions and capacity planning decisions, which will then reflect through to you in terms of the overall package you get,
Sure.
in terms of price, quality, and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you can start to indicate to us, and the more, your likely requirement for the following, next year, the year after,